Hello everybody and welcome back to another ship review, and you're probably staring at the Erie that's currently sitting in front of you and going, wait, are you seriously going to do a review on a tier 1 cruiser? And the answer is yes, and the reason why this is happening is because recently I asked the patrons to vote on which ship they would like to see for the patron voted ship review episode, and the majority of them voted that they wanted to see the York. Well, I've never played the York before, so it's going to take me a couple more days to actually play test the ship if I can give a good review about it. So, aside from the York, the next sort of sizable group of people wanted to see an Erie, and since I've played the Erie, and I think a lot of people have played the Erie, I was like, okay, I can do a quick short review about her. And so off we go. The Erie is one of the first ships you will ever see when you get into World of Warships, and she's a pretty good ship, except most people kind of just play her and get out of her in a couple of battles. And the people who really like to keep the ship around really enjoy clubbing seals. That's turned into one of those, let's say, fun recreational activities when you're having a bad day on warships. Let's take a look at the Erie. Hit points wise, 9,900. She's like the second best HP pull of all tier 1 cruisers. So, pretty good there. Armor wise, like many tier 1 cruisers, the armor isn't great, although she does seem to have 88mm of Citadel armor somewhere. But in terms of her forward and after ends, there's only 6mm of armor, which means every single gun on all the tier 1 ships firing armor piercing can overmatch the bow and the stern of the ships. Now that we know that pretty much tier 1 ships don't really have all that much armor, then what are we really going to be talking about when we're doing a tier 1 ship review? Because we know that everything else is going to be pretty similar. Well, the main thing that we can talk about is the guns. And tier 1 ships generally have really puny guns, so you can call them guns that sling potatoes if you want, because that's sort of what they do. They sort of sling potatoes at each other. And how you want to think about it is, what's the guns that will allow me to throw out potatoes the fastest? Because without any armor, it doesn't really matter if you have a bigger or smaller caliber gun, right? So in that sense, if you look at the Erie starts off with 4 single 127mm guns. These guns reload in 5 seconds, they turn 180 degrees in 18 seconds, pretty tight dispersion, 87 meters, they do 1800 max HE damage and 2200 max AP damage. Firing range is 9.6 kilometers, and they have a pretty fast shallow velocity of 960 meters a second. If you think about the Erie, you might be like, those guns don't seem all that special. So what a lot of people do is they click on the module and they go, hold on a minute, the Erie has a gun upgrade, these 152mm guns. And on paper, these 152mm guns look better. Why? Because the damage goes up. Max HE damage goes to 2200, max AP damage goes to 3000. But this gun is a trap. Because first of all, the reload time goes up to 7 seconds, which sounds only like it's 2 seconds longer, but just hang on a second there. The reload time is slower, so you're throwing fewer potatoes out. Yeah, they might hurt a little bit more, but the more you throw, the better, because that increases your DPM, and that's more important. Then the other thing about these guns is you look at the shell velocities. 853 meters only. They're more than 100 meters a second slower, which means these shells are not going to travel as quickly, so making shooting a little bit harder. So the secret behind the Erie is grab the guns that fires out potatoes the fastest. That's right, these 127mm guns are actually the ideal choice. Everything else about the Erie is kind of, well, I mean, it's nothing really to write home about. First of all, you have AA at tier 1, where there are no airplanes. These are more for show than anything else. I have no idea why they even decided to make AA a category here. I mean, I guess if you fail division and go up to tier 4, you could run into tier 4 aircraft, but I don't really see an Erie surviving against a tier 4 carrier. So AA is sort of negligible. Then you look at the maneuverability. She goes 20 knots, which is not fast at all, but then when all the maps are tiny, that doesn't really matter. Turning circle radius is an amazing 300 meters. You're pretty much spinning on yourself. And the rudder shift time of 2.8 seconds is very destroyer-like. So typically speaking, if you play an Erie, you should really not be getting hit by destroyer torpedoes. Oh, one other thing. There's another reason why you should have fast potato throwing guns, because you run into a lot of destroyers, like the tier 2 ones that like to have to get really close in order to fire their torpedoes at you. Faster reloads, meaning faster HE spamming, which means dead destroyer faster. So see, that's a perk. Concealment, 8.3 kilometers by sea, 3.8 from the air. And, well, what else is there to talk about? Modules, yes, you have one slot. Grab the main battery modification one, because you might as well just keep your guns, because why would you get an AA guns modification when there's no airplanes and your AA doesn't do anything, right? So, get the main battery modification one. And as for commander, if you have a 1-point captain, then I assume you're a new player. Get basic firing training, because what basic firing training does is it drops your reload time from 5 seconds down to actually 4.5 seconds, which means you fire out more potatoes faster. But let's say you are a high tier player who's got like, oh, I don't know, a 19-point captain, cough, cough, seal clubbers, and you would like to ultimately club the crap out of everybody. Here is the recommended skill tree for your captain. Go with basic firing training first, and then you can get situational awareness after. Make sure you get expert marksman, make sure you have either vigilance or high alert, your choice. Get advanced firing training, and of course get concealment. And what this does to your ship is it does this. First of all, you now have 11.5 kilometer range. Second, your reload time is 4.5 seconds. Your guns turn faster at 14.4 seconds. And so everything about your ship, well, gets better because these guns are now better and you have better range. And oh yeah, there's another reason why you don't want the 152mm guns, because they don't benefit from captain skills. So 127s all the way and go club the crap out of some players. So let's take her into a battle and let's see how she does. So off we go with our 127mm potato throwers, and hey, look, it's a map I've actually never seen before. I haven't been playing that many low tier battles, and apparently the low tiers got themselves this really, really nice Islands of Ice lookalike map. Oh no, okay, it's not as blue as the Islands of Ice map, but it's still at least got lots of snow. Maybe there's penguins in here somewhere. Should go looking. Lead a penguin expedition and look for some secret penguins. Maybe they're hiding somewhere. Anyways, Destroyer Samson decided to... looks like World of Tanks again. Just for some odd reason decided to stop and start reversing. So load your high explosive potatoes and start slinging them as quickly as possible. And because you're using the 127mm guns, you get a salvo every 4.5 seconds. And this is why it's actually important to use these guns. The stock ones are actually quite good because when you deal with tier 2 destroyers, these guns are able to just pummel them faster. And if you're using HE, you can knock out the engine. You just can knock everything out. And very quickly, you can drop them. If you're using the 152mm guns, you'll find that dealing with destroyers isn't all that good sometimes. The one major advantage I think the 152mm guns have is maybe dealing with cruisers. There's one situation a little bit later on where I'm sort of broadside to, I believe it was a Dresden, and had I had the 152mm guns, there's a chance that I might have landed a Citadel or two. However, if you just spam HE fast enough at these low tiers, you're going to kill things quickly anyways. Or even if you spam AP into broadsides, it works too. Now, a lot of what I'm talking about when I say the 152s have advantages against Citadels, I'm talking mostly when you're engaging tier 2 ships. Because you can run into tier 2 ships, and some of them, well, some of them are okay at resisting damage. However, if you're just talking about a tier 1 match where you're going up against other tier 1 cruisers, then the 127mm armor piercing is absolutely enough to land Citadels against other tier 1 cruisers. Take an Orlan, for example. The Orlan is, well, very lightly armored. It's got decent guns, 130mm Russian destroyer guns, basically. But if you are able to hit the right spots on that particular ship with armor piercing, 127mm do just fine. Yeah, and here, this is the one I was talking about. Against this Dresden over here. And you'll see how initially I was firing armor piercing at it, and even when it went broadside and when I fired armor piercing, it didn't really do too great. But there you go, switch over to high explosive and spam away to your heart's content. And the damage is very, very, very consistent too. There we go, he's presenting broadside, so we'll go from HE to AP. 127mm guns, you do switch ammunition very quickly because you only have a 4.5 second reload, so why wouldn't you? Of course, Dresden takes cover, so I go straight back to beating up on the Orlan. See, low tiers, they're fun. Everybody just sails in broadside, so you might as well just club the crap out of them. I'm sorry, low tier seals. I don't mean to promote your demise at the hands of these ultimate seal clubbing ships with their amazing 15-point plus captains. Yeah, there we go. Orlan's gone. Dresden apparently still hasn't noticed me. Oh, never mind, never mind, never mind. There he goes. He starts to sling his potatoes, except the Dresden's potatoes are smaller than my potatoes, so mine are going to hurt a little bit more. See? Ha! Eat that, Dresden. My potatoes are awesome. There's another Dresden. I just every time one Dresden takes cover, I try to hit the other one with my shots and try to get them from behind their cover. Other one comes back out, so easy kill to finish off. Erie's dispersion. That is one thing, though. The Erie's dispersion sometimes is a bit weird. Sometimes you get great shots, and sometimes you just get shots that do the weirdest things. Like, hey, there's a broadside ship. Let's send a couple of shells over the ship. Anyway, so by this point in time, I've gotten, let's see here, only one citadel. Jeez. My other battles, I got a lot more. But anyways, got 3 kills already, 81 hits, 7 base defense ribbons, which is going to net me quite a bit of experience. And then, of course, I look at the enemy team and went, aww, I ran out of seals to club. Because, yeah, there was only one ship left. I think that was oftentimes my problem is when I'm playing this particular setup for the Erie, I am constantly just like, oh my god, where's the next target? And then, of course, targets die, and then I'm just like, oh, there's nobody to shoot at anymore. I'm sad. And see, there it goes. Occasionally you get these really nice salvos, and occasionally you just get ones and you're just like, what the heck, Erie? But anyways, these last couple of salvos I'm able to put in are actually not too shabby. And I eventually am able to land a very sweet hit. There's my Confederate, so hurrah for that. Come on, you can do it. Come on, Erie. Show them the 127mm guns are made out of power there. Look at that. Pew, 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 pew. Actually, the gun sounds are really nice. It kind of does sound like a potato launcher. Boop, 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 boop. And there was kill number 4. The really rapid fire of the 127mm guns are freaking awesome. So there we go. 32,000 damage. Top of the team, 1278 base experience, 4 kills. And just a good solid amount of damage here with a tier 1 ship. And even for credits, the gain wasn't too bad as I made about 114,000 credits. And that does it for this Erie review. I hope you all enjoyed it. I do want to, of course, thank my patrons for supporting me. You guys are awesome, and you're totally allowing me to go ahead and make videos like these, which I'm not really sure how many people would actually watch, considering it is only a tier 1 ship. But who knows? You guys are making it possible for me to go ahead and do this. So I want to thank you guys all so much. It's been fantastic having your support. Anyways, folks, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'm looking forward to talking to all of you again soon. So take care.